Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Steve Tesler. I'm a principal in EPAM's insurance consulting group. I, along with my colleagues, Jason Friedman and Gopi Dharam, are here to present AI in claims. To set expectations and just give you a little bit of sense of roadmap, what we're going to cover here today. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on who EPAM is and what we do, and then we'll each provide a brief introduction on our background and experience. And then we're going to talk about what we're seeing in the industry as it relates to AI adoption, specifically focused on claims. We're going to walk you through a demo of some real-life use cases that we're working on. And then we're going to look behind the hype a little bit and talk about what's now, what's emerging, and what's eventually possible, but some of the challenges that we'll face before we get there. So, for those of you who don't know EPAM, we are a global technology consulting firm. We have a world-class reputation as software engineers and product developers. Some of our better-known global brand name platforms include SAP, Oracle, and Google. To leverage our technology DNA, we built out deep domain expertise, focusing on providing complementary services to our technology services and focusing on solving our clients' most complex business and technology problems. So a little bit of my background. I've been in the industry for 30 plus or minus a couple of years, mostly split between consulting and working for a carrier. And the claims space in particular, I've had the opportunity to lead projects and engagements in the area of merger integration, as well as legacy modernization, claims capabilities assessment activities, as well as claims transformation. Jason.
Absolutely. So Jason Friedman, nice to see you all. I've also been working in the industry for about 35 years. Also split between working at carriers and as a consultant for a large part of my career, and both in the U.S., Europe, and in Asia. And similarly, have been working on a lot of claims transformation programs over that time. And that's a large part of why I think this is an important topic. And we're going to start seeing more of what are the things that we haven't invested in and haven't done well up until now, and the opportunity to maybe right that ship a little bit.
Hi, everyone. Gopi Dharam. Similar to these guys, I've been in the industry for about 30 years, working both on personal lines and commercial lines, as well as working with direct and reinsurance companies. Over the last few years, I've been doing a lot of different activities around Gen AI. Been doing Gen AI in a couple buckets from an IT perspective, working with IT organizations and looking at opportunities to accelerate or augment their SDLC. From a business side perspective, working with different business units, underwriting, claims, legal, HR, and trying to incorporate AI into their process or Gen AI into their process and try to increase the level of efficiency and effectiveness.
Perfect. Thank you. So Gopi's going to do a little bit of a disappearing act and go back there so he can show us the demo when we get to that spot. So Jason, here we are. Let's talk about the current state of claims and what we're seeing in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I said, and you said as well, we've been working in this world for about 30-something years. And, and it's an amazing thing. Like, there's the technology of the week, and all of us as people who think and around disruption in the future, we want to say we have the next silver bullet to really change what claims can be, both from a customer's point of view and frankly, from an insurer's point of view as well. So this is a world that's ripe for disruption. And, up until now, whatever that next technology is, everybody, including me, we cling to it and we find new places to put our hard-earned experience into and trying to make changes. But the truth of the matter is that we're in an industry that is pretty resistant to change as a rule, although I was listening to a talk a little while ago where they mentioned that we were one of the first industries to use mainframe computing. So Take that for what it's worth. But the truth is that this is a part of the insurance world that is ripe for change. It needs to be disrupted. And I think that the mistake that we can make is looking at this and thinking it's going to solve all things right away, where inevitably the leaders of our industry are going to say, yeah, it's not magic. And they're going to stop investing before it's ready to really do its thing and make an impact. So, we talk about the experience here for the customer or for the claimant calling in and getting their papers together. And we've all been claimants, most of us, right? For a claims agent, they're frequently going between multiple machines, and they've got some technology that's 30, 40 years old, and other technology that was like rammed in there because it was the technology of the week. So we've got to make that change in a way that is real, is able to take advantage of what Gen AI and other technologies are capable of doing. And one of the things that we want to talk about is kind of what that roadmap might look like. So with that in mind, this is just kind of the standard, what does a claim look like from beginning to end, standard workflow. And we've done a fair amount of analysis of looking at today and what's coming up and what's in the future, what's real and what is not. And you'll see the color coding is a little wacky, but the purplish color on here are areas that we're going to demonstrate some very real capabilities today. A large part of it, some of it is technology, whether the technology is going to be able to do this, but a lot of it is around whether or not we are confident in the capability of AI and the capability of the data, and whether we are, and then what the regulators are, and whether the insurers, the insurance companies are as well. So when we look at the kind of roadmap of what's now, what is soon, and what is maybe someday, but not quite yet, we've got to be able to overcome that technology problem as well as the rest. One of the things that you'll also see here is that on the bottom we have an agent, a virtual agent for supporting claims. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later, but one of the things that we think is an evolving capability across insurance is that ability of a virtual agent either to help a human or to do certain tasks for the human. And we'll see a little bit more of, so that one is shown as, in the building capability, but you'll see some of that's real today and some of that is evolving.
Before you go on, just let me jump in here. So I think to your point, this is another tool. AI is something that is different than what we've seen out there, and it has the potential to help us solve many of these age-old challenges that claims processors have had, adjusters have had, certainly across our entire industry, all the process areas. And so while this does appear to be a shiny object, what we've talked about and we talk about with our clients is really these things aren't going to happen tonight, and they're not going to, or today or tomorrow, without a concerted effort. There are things that need to be in place in order to take advantage of the benefits of what AI can provide us. Not least of which, of course, are, you talk about data mastery and you talk about, data quality. You can't really build data models without really sound data governance. You need to have security. You need to have privacy. We need to train our models so that they're resilient and trustworthy if they're to be adopted, right? We can provide tools to our adjusters and our business partners all to the end of time, but if they don't trust them and they're not part of their day-to-day process, they're not going to be used. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk a little bit more about how that kind of continuum will play out potentially, but I think it's very relevant to what we're talking about and how things are developing today.
So last note before we head it off for some demonstrations. Demonstration today, we're not a software company, so we're not selling any software here. All of the things that we're showing are real capabilities that we have implemented. What's holding it together, however, is is basically a model, right? We're not selling our claims workbench or anything like that. So please don't misunderstand when you say it. It is a capability that we built so that we can show off the AI capabilities in the market. And I guess with that, the man behind the curtain back there, Gopi.
So thank you, Jason. So I'm going to be going through three different things. Kind of like, as Jason said, this is our vision of a claims workbench. You can use a claims workbench, or you can extend a claims application administration system that you have. That's one component. Two other components, as Jason said, we're not a software company. What we have developed software, and these are accelerators that we offer. So I'm going to go through two of those. One is what we call DEPS. It's our document extraction processing system, and then DAO, which stands for deterministic integrator of apps and LLMs. So those are the two things that are going in the background that are helping with this. For this application, it is just HTML based. It is to just, as Jason said, to communicate our vision. So I'm going to go in, log in. So this is a claims workbench. On the left-hand side, you have the key activities a claims adjuster or a claims persona would work with. On the top, some of the key applications or tools that they would potentially using on the top. And the right is their collaboration tools. So what I'm going to go through is the use case is I am a claims adjuster looking at working on claims activity. I realize based on it that I have received new documents. So I'm going into it and see I have a new document, so I want to go work on it. So I go in, as you can see, the claim has been started. There's some information that's been populated based on those activities. The claims adjuster is notified there's documents that are ready for review and ingestion. Going into here allows them to go through a utility to select the different documents. So here, there's three documents that we're going to go in through. The first one is an Accord document. It is, and if you think about it, it is a structured document. You know what you're going to see on it. In addition to that, we have enabled a handwritten note. So that's the numbers 2 is a handwritten note that is there. That is part of that using ICR technology to do that. And the last one is a police report. It could be any of these documents. So this you can solution as one of the big things that we're seeing with data ingestion is the ability of being able to do structured documents, semi-structured, unstructured documents. Before, with the old technology with OCR, it was primarily structured document with a level of accuracy. Right now, semi-structured and unstructured are modes. So an example of a semi-structured would be, for example, from a claim would be some police report. You don't know what's going to be on it. It's going to be different. That's one. And then it could be a claims contract or some sort of contract could be something of unstructured. So going in, selecting this, the user is notified they're going to be leaving into the system, going to other system. I'm going to quickly pull up DEPS. So DEPS, those two documents that we had that showed it going into our DEPS system. And here what you have within DEPS is what you see is this is the Accord report, and here's all the information on the left. On the right-hand side, what you see is the key fields that have been mapped. So as you can tell, it also tells you a percent of accuracy. The percent of accuracy is rules defines. It tells you, is this something that you want the adjuster to review? Are you comfortable with it? So based on rules at the field level, you can do this. The other piece that you can do with the technology is, here's a description with handwritten notes. So you can see what it has. It says handwritten notes and it has a description. This one is clear cursive writing, but depending on different writing skills, it has the ability for you to do it. So here's the information that you have here. And the right-hand side is the AIs or ML translation of those. As you can see, it does a pretty decent job. It is dependent on the accuracy of this. So sometimes you'll see typo or spelling errors. It will correct some. It might not correct all, but it has the ability to do it. So this is one big area we see a lot of people investing is data ingestion. Another example also, I talked about the police report, similar to the same technology. You can use that to police report on the left-hand side. All the detail here, you could have, as it pre-populated, a human in the loop can review that stuff. So that's one use case with data ingestion. The second piece is once you have it, like I said, you can import it back into your claim system. So they do support via different technologies, XML, JSONs for you to load it in. So you put it into the system here. Once it's there, the claim system consumes the information. And one of the things it's doing, let me put it up here, it consumes the information. And in the background, this is another area what we're seeing is you can use it to, with the current technology, with LLMs and what's out there, you can use it to help you with insights. For this one, we are doing a potential fraud prevention and identifying it. So what we've done is we run the model in the background. The model in the background does multiple things. It looks at all the information that's been entered on the claim, also includes all the documentations that's done. And something that's slightly different that was before is with the later technology, as you can see, you see a picture with some burning. So if you look at the latest models and the models we've been trained on, they've been trained on millions of documents and text, and they're able to very, very accurately load a picture and then translate that into text. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you a summary of what this is. In the summary, I've done two things here. One, using AI, this is using our tool, but you can do it with other tools out there. We compared the Accord loss description document as the police report, and we asked it to identify any discrepancies. So using that information and after saying, it's able to say, I looked at these two documents, I've identified 5 discrepancies. Then I've also looked at the image, and this is straight out of what the model comes, is it's looked at the picture and able to accurately tell you a description of the picture. So those are the game changers. I think the big game changer is the image to tech. That wasn't around before the LLMs, and the level of accuracy, like I said, you can do it is very material.
And you know, one of the things here is that, yeah, you wouldn't want the AI to be making the decision based on those discrepancies. But the fact that it can call it out and give it to a claims agent who can then say, oh my gosh, you know, out of these hundreds of fields in this form and these 5 different forms that have come in, there are some discrepancies I need to now investigate or send over to SIU to do, to do the real work of finding if there's fraud.
So what's happened so far, as Jason said, I've, as the adjuster, have evaluated what's been entered and looked at the documents, and I'm still not sure if this is a candidate for fraud, and I want to do additional analysis. So I go into additional analysis. So this is another area where AI is very, very helpful, especially it has the ability for you to go against external data. When I say external data, stuff that's available in the public, so anything that you can go and Google. 2 is if there's APIs out there that have the information and it has the ability based on rules to systematically call a third party, get the information, and summarize it, aggregate it, and display it. The other thing is you have the power, like I said, to go against your internal applications. So an application could be your claim administration system. It could be your data warehouse. It could be other systems where you think would be relevant for you to do it. So I'm going to go through different things. So for this use case, I would want to go against a public site. So what I'm basically doing is I want to understand if the weather at that day contributed to this. So I'm basically running this activity. So this one right here, I basically said, okay, here's the time, here's the date. For this address, I want you to get the weather details. So this is live. This is based on a true search that we did. We just put it onto this demo, but you can see the level of details that you can get. Again, you're using this as a central place for the adjuster to go get that information. So there could be getting this information through other things, but I think AI has the ability to put it in one centralized place and allow you to do that. That's one. The second thing I want to do is I want to go out to ISO claim search and then go to, if there's a fraud solution that you use right now, third party, you're going to go out there. So that's the second piece that I'm doing right now. I'm asking it systematically and say, in natural language, and say, please go call ISO claim search for this claimant, and also go against, for this one, we said shift fraud detection service, right? So I'm going against 2 external parties, getting the information and displaying the information. So for, if you look at the top, this is the ISO claim history on the top. You can go through it. And the level of detail you have, like it said, you could format it the way you want that's consumable, and that'll be easy for your claims adjuster to do it. The second piece also is, this is where additional information. I have this additional information and displaying it here. This is the type of information you get from there. You can include, exclude, you can add content to this, but it allows you to do that. The next one I'm going to go through and say, this information based on this type of claimant and this type of policies. What's been my history from a claim perspective? Am I seeing anything special for this customer? So this is, for this one, we're going against your internal data warehouse. And I'm basically saying, okay, for this SIC code, for these companies, can you go through and get me the premium information and the claim information? So you can go directly to a policy administration system, a claim system, or a data warehouse to get this. Once again, it's the ability to go against internal data and protect it and allow you to summarize it and put it easy. So that's what this is doing. I told it to put in a table, and that's what it's doing.
Right. And Gopi, before you jump off of that, I think one of the things that gets me really excited about this model and this capability in particular is when we talk about kind of the next gen of insurance and where it can possibly go, the holy grail is proactive risk management or preventative risk management. And with the ability to look against your existing database of claims of insureds, you can then also uncover patterns to understand if there are other companies that are in the same geography that might have the same roof that was a contributing factor to the fire, or you can dig into multiple different scenarios that you can then reach out to those customers and provide some ability for them to solve a problem before it becomes a problem, offer them, a reduced rate if they do risk control and other kinds of things. So again, this is just a kind of scratching of the surface of what you can really do with this. But I think it's really powerful.
Okay, a couple more things I want to show. The next piece I'm just going to show is, I think, something that we've all have already used it, especially if you're in Copilot or those things. LLMs are very good at summarizing data. Has the ability to go against one document, multiple documents, and summarize it. And as Jason, you said, and you still need someone to review it, but you have that capability. So I've gone through it. I've summarized it and said, okay, I'm good. And then the other key piece I want to do is I want to save everything I've done to my claim notes, right? So I have this and say, I've done all these details. So what you do is you save what you stated in the prompts and all the results of the prompts, you put it and you have it in here. Some of the tools do have the ability for you to kind of transcript what you did in a lower level detail, or this one's just more of a summary of what the information you have. So I've done that. I'm good. I'm comfortable. So I'm going to go back and say, okay, based on this, I'm concerned. I want to send this over to SIU. That's another use case we have identified, is another simple one, the ability to generate email. And with this, we have a generation of there. You can include a prompt and say, I want the email to contain this type of information, and AI will go and get that information and do it there. So once again, I have this. I've summarized some of the things I've shown you, and then I've sent that over to the SIU for them to do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Kobe.
Thank you, Jason.
And, what I would say is that, we're bringing all this data in, it goes into notes, but then the AI is also taking a look at that data and doing analysis and saying, now the risk of fraud is higher than we originally thought. That's what triggers that going over to SIU and, asking them to pull up essentially the same exact record. In other places, it's asking for more clarification as well on the data that we've recovered and those inconsistencies that have been found. So this is the kind of capability that today, given the level of not only reality and trust we have in the data and trust we have in the process, and not to mention all of the existing technologies that every one of our carriers has, that's realistic. I'm going to hand off to Steve, talk a little bit about kind of how we see that evolving.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So as you've heard and seen, we've talked about how we see things happening today that are very realistic. We see things that are emerging, and we see things that are more futuristic. Some of the ways those are going to be realized is through the use of agents, as we're seeing on this continuum to the left, I guess to the right as well. So we'll just walk you through kind of the continuum, and it's related to all the things we talked about before. So while you're mastering your data, while you're determining the responsible AI framework and making sure that your data is secured, here's how this will evidence itself in actual capabilities and applications that you provide to your insureds, to your adjusters. So starting where we are today is essentially, today we interact with copilots. It's copilots, humans with copilots. So we're typing things into our laptops all the time, and thank goodness for Microsoft trying to finish my sentence. So, where would I be without them? That's an indication of what is happening today. As we move to the right, companies are starting to develop agents that will focus on specific tasks. So they will be the masters of the ingestion task or of the summarization task. And so you can train the model to do that specific thing.
One point on that, I think the other thing that we are seeing a lot on is these agents are linked with a persona. So we'll see, for example, a claims adjuster, SIU, they do different things. So they're agents that are tailored for what the activities are and what's applicable to their jobs. And that's where you increase the level of this efficiency and effectiveness, as we said. So I think we're seeing another trend is more tailored agents based on persona.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. And I think so currently the nexus or the balance is it's kind of, yes, this is happening as a support function. As we continue to move up the chain, you have the shift happening. So step 3 is essentially the shift will continue where these agents become more capable and reliable in doing that specific task for that particular, and there will be less reliance on the individual. As we go to 4, agents will basically own the process, but at the end of the day, and the process, the things that the agents are good for. At the end of the day, humans will still be accountable. This is still a regulated industry that is very risk averse, as we all know. So it's really about facilitating the process and making sure that you have the right infrastructure to support your goals. Then at the end of the day, the top right, this is out there. We're not sure when this is going to happen, but at some point, these agents that we're talking about will be able to self-maintain and self-learn. And I'm not talking about Terminator 2 or Terminator 18, whatever it is, but these are learning models that will self-perpetuate and be able to offer suggestions and recommendations for other things that can be done through the claims process.
And do it, right? That's the big difference is they're not going to have the human in the loop. It'll be more exception-based where it'll be put into a queue and say, do it right now. It's the other way around. I don't know how many years that is, but I think that's where the industry is going.
That's exactly right.
But that's essentially that ability to self-correct and to self-learn and to also call out its own mistakes. But, I guess in my humble opinion, keep that in the back of your head, but plan for today. What can you use today that's actually going to make a difference to your customer? What's going to actually make a difference to your financials? Going to get rid of your losses. And that's really, so make use of those agents as they become more mature, but don't expect, and like I'm working with one of my clients who's going through their annual planning and everything has to have an AI component. And I call that the magic number because they have no idea what it's actually going to produce. It's just like, let's just put a couple million over there. I'm like, well, I want the couple million. But on the other hand, I don't think that's not operating. That's operating with a dream and that a technology is going to magically fix it rather than going the other way and saying, here's what's real. How do we take best advantage of what is real?
And Jason, just a couple of things, right? We're seeing work. I work with several clients, and some of my clients are in the room. What we're recommending is start small and build a conference, right? There's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of hype. No one knows what's there. But either you're going to be doing it or you're going to be pushed to do it, right? If you think about all the people out there, everybody that's out there, there's an AI component. It's either there or it's coming. So that's going to be the big change is, are you ready for it? And how well are you incorporating it? That's one. And the other thing, I think even though this is very claim-centric, the pieces that we've gone through, there's an enterprise component to it. So you got to look at what is the enterprise component and how do you build these at scale, right? I talked about ingestion. Well, claims is not the only group that needs it. There's other groups that need to do it. There might be special use cases for claims, and there are different types. That's one. Summarization, that's another one. Insight. So I think the other thing is how do you make sure you're meeting the requirements from a claims unit, business unit, but also looking at building these solutions at our enterprise so you can see the value of those. And thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you all.